Did they change this to a pen?
Yeah. Oh, mine is.
No, we have to sign for
With what?
Other option.
Mine worked with my password.
If he's coming back on, trains.
I should have given you her.
Yeah.
I could have just perfectly nobody is not.
See results. See results.
Is he in there?
I see.
No.
It's his birthday day.
It was,
Or no.
he had it posted yesterday as his birthday. It really wasn't his birthday, his birthday not till like June, I think. Oh,
Hi, how are you? Hey, Greg. 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 Nice to meet you. What's up?
so we can add on the agenda matters from attorney. Matters from the attorney.
You gonna be on there?
If we can add it maybe after the public hearing. Action item 7.
I heard a voice.
Because I'm not seeing Keaton here either.
Peter.
After 7?
Yeah, I'll put him after 7. Well, we could put him anyway, but
Matters from attorney after mayor and council.
no, just do it probably after 7.
That is 7. Matters from mayor and council.
No,
That's 12.
just do it after the public hearing.
This is 10.
Thank you. I'm looking at thinking,
Yeah, I don't know why we do it that way. We're getting ourselves confused. What's that? Super Bowl 42 and 50 something. What's that? It's really bad.
Super Bowl 16.
I know, and now we're at the 50s.
Anyone here from Jason?
I have some.
You ready? Good evening. Today's Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. I'll call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Staff, thank you for being here. Councilors, thank you for being here. Members of the public, thank you for being here. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilman Bertrand.
Here.
Councilwoman Luis Gangos. Here. Councilman Jason Gonzalez. Councilman Darrell Ortega.
Present.
Mayor.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the Zia symbol of perfect friendship amongst the united cultures.
Next item is the approval of the agenda. Councilors, I'd like to add matters from the attorney as the new action, as new item 8.
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda that I add matters from attorneys, item 8.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Aramillo, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Bertrand.
Yes.
Councilwoman Luis Ramos. Yes. Councilman Darrell Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is of approval of the minutes, regular council meeting, February 10th, 2026.
Madam Clerk, I'm glad you caught that error before, because I was reading that up, so good job. I have no corrections and I have no.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Aramillo. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Bertrand.
Yes.
Councilwoman Luis Ramos. Yes. Councilman Darrell Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is public comment. It's the policy of the governing body to accept public comment. Because your issue is not on the agenda, the governing body cannot respond, but may direct staff to address the issues at a future council meeting. Public comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Did anyone call in for public comment?
No, Mayor.
Right along. We'll close public comment at 6:03. Next, we have public hearing, discussion, consideration, decision, special exception, and variance request for Esther Hall, 16 Supermarket Road. Mr. Laforêt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mrs. Esther Hall has asked for a variance and a special exception to place a mobile home on her property down on 16 Supermarket Road. She currently has a mobile home there, and she's going to place it directly across from hers on her property. Residents within 200 feet were notified of the variance and special exception request by certified mail, and we did not hear from any of them. So as you know, when this variance request was applied for, we were working off of our old ordinance, and that ARO property required a 2-acre minimum. And of course, mobile homes are allowed by special exception. So I'll call Mrs. Esther Hall up, and we'll stand for any questions if you have any. In your packet, I think you have a map, and you also have the notice of public hearing that was posted. Would you like to hear from Mrs. Hall as to what she proposes to do?
Sure.
We were just proposing to be able to put a mobile home down on my property. That's about it.
Is that a second mobile home? First of all, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And, is that the second mobile home, or are you moving your current one from one place to another?
No, it's gonna be a third one. Mine's on one side, Tara's, and then his will be right across.
Okay. Thank you.
Keep it all in the family.
Kind of nice to have relatives close by.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is.
Definitely.
Mom and dad live next door and really enjoy when the kids are growing up, they just run across the fence
Right.
without going on the road.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Ms. Hall?
I have one question, but I think I know the answer. You're on city water and city sewer, correct?
Yes.
On the three property you have.
So this is a public hearing. This clock is off on the wall compared to what both the phone and the computer shows. I'm going off of the computer, but I'll open up the public hearing at 6:07. So do we have anyone here for the public hearing? I just need wait till, give it a minute. So we can close at 6:08. So if you'll recall, and just a little bit back up to your question, Counselor, we did meter every single one of these properties separately last summer, so they're all metered, they all have their own meter now, so it wasn't like that before, so we've corrected that issue. And I'll close the public hearing at 6:08.
I'll make a motion to approve with
Second,
discussion.
I have a motion by Councilman Ortega, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. We have discussion.
So, again, I'm bringing this up that, people on their property should be able to do what they want as long as they're not making a nuisance of it. And for us to be seeing every single thing that comes in here, and that's, like I said again, from the people who are actually forthcoming, there's people that are doing it without knowledge of anybody and they're getting it done. So I think it's just burdensome on the homeowners. And I would like to see that we change this ordinance to where we can allow stuff to be cleared by whoever in the office, so we don't have to hear these senseless, things. I can see if a junkyard is coming in or a scrapyard or something, but, for someone to bring a home into their property, I don't think we have the right to be discussing it every time someone brings something in. So I would like to see that ordinance be fixed soon, so we don't have to have property owners come in and ask for something.
Does the ordinance that we voted on, does that fix this? No.
Even with the amended ordinance that we just did, we still have a 1 acre minimum, so that wouldn't apply in this case. But the ordinance still says that mobile homes are only allowed by special exception. So she would still have had to come in and request a special exception to put the mobile home there.
Okay, so we can fix that in the new ordinance when that comes out.
So are these gonna be another exception, because we seem to have a lot of those popping up, in the community, and I don't see any of those coming forward in front of the council.
We'll have to add either an exception for that or add it into the ordinance. I know at one time we had talked about making an RV ordinance, and through, I believe, people aren't allowed to live in the RV for more than 30 days unless it's in an RV park. So the problem is they shouldn't be living in there. And I know we've had a lot of with the contractors, people that were renting out spots in their yard for the contractors. And that's something we do need to address as well.
If it's someone moving a home in to have for their family, which, it's a trailer or whatever you want to call a mobile home, I don't think that's our duty to say who does what on the property again, and that'll be my third time I bring this in front of the council, and it's on for the record.
And that is, yeah, that might be a thought, Counselor, but it is our duty until we fix the ordinance. So once we get, the other thing is, once we get the full planning and zoning board in place, they'll handle a lot of these variances for us, but we do need to fix the ordinance. You're absolutely right, and we're working on it. We've had a couple of meetings with the contractor that's doing it for us, so that's gonna be coming. It's nothing that we don't know we have to fix. We know we have to fix it. It's gonna take a lot of work.
Thank you, have more discussion.
So I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Louise Gallegos,
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilman Darrell Ortega.
Yes.
Next item is our new item number 8, matters from or for the attorney.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the members of the city council, the village council. It's very, very nice to see all of you again. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Hope everyone is doing well. I wish you all well, and I'm glad to be involved back with the village of Questa. As you know, Chris left the firm and started his own firm, which happens from time to time, but I'm glad to see everybody, and I stand for any questions that anyone may have at this time for the village attorney.
Before we start, Mr. Ayala, I just want to offer our condolences for the loss of your grandmother. We couldn't make it to the rosary 2 weeks ago because we were in this chamber, but I can apologize. She was maybe one of the last of her generation there, so really sorry for her loss, and offer our condolences.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Mayor. She was 98 years old. She lived a good, long life. I think she was ready to go be with my grandpa. But it was good to see those of you that I got to see, and I'll learn to the rest of you the next time you guys have me up for a meeting. But thank you very much for your condolences. I appreciate it.
So I have a question there.
Councilor Ortega.
So, again, sorry for the loss of your grandmother. She was a good lady.
Thank you.
So my question was, one of them is the ordinance. Before we do what we did on the last meeting, it just surprised me, or surprised all of us, but I was really surprised. I have to make a decision on something. Can we be prior to something like this taking place with you to make sure what we're doing is correct? And we're not breaking any kind of laws and trying to tell people what to do with their properties and how to do it and when to do it. And, as Mayor says, we have committee, I guess, right there. Zoning committee or something.
Planning zoning committee.
I haven't heard of it, but I would have to be part of that also. We can make note of that. Because I do want to know what's going on and how we take care of stuff like this. That's my one main concern. Second concern I have, and we'll deal with that down the road. I did ask for a letter from Chevron to Granite. I called it a cease and desist letter, but it might be something else. You said we were privy to that, but you are aware that we are in a super fund, and 154-page document to the lawsuit, which is, through Judge Kelly, states that there's supposed to be certain cleanups taking place. We're supposed to be having documentation sitting in this office, because we are the depository for all those documents. I've asked prior to get on the council to see these documents, and there's one book from 2018. And that's only for air quality. There's nothing else. We don't know what's taking place, what part is being cleaned, what's not being cleaned. Councilwoman Luis Gallego says that they're supposed to be back on the 4th quarter of this year, but that's not the right either, so it could be 2 or 3 years from now. We're not sure. It could be 6 months from now. But we do need some reassurance, or at least I do, sitting on the city council, that that facility and that property is being cleaned. And I think you as the attorney should have those talks with Chevron to see what's taking place, where are we at, what's next step? Are we gonna wait till the end of this quarter? We're gonna wait early in February now, we're gonna wait till October, November, December timeframe according to them, but we don't have anything in writing. Is there any way we can get something in writing that states we're gonna continue with the Superfund cleanup on X date or X month or X year, you know? That's a question I have for you, Attorney.
Okay, Councilor Tejeda. So the first part of your question regarding the letter, I asked Chevron's attorney, Robert Malinowski, for a copy of that letter. He refused to provide a copy of the letter because it was a letter between Granite and Chevron. It wasn't a document that was considered a public document between EPA, that would have involved EPA, NMD, or Energy and Mining, Federal Division. He refused to provide a copy of that. I sent that email to Karen so that she could provide a copy of that to you so you can see that the position that Chevron was taking on that. I also have put a request into EPA regarding that document to see whether or not that what he stated was true. I believe it is true because it's part of just a contract between the two entities, but I wanted to just make sure. There is an annual remedial action effectiveness report that is created once a year by Chevron and reviewed and approved by NMD and EPA. Councilor Gonzalez is asking for a copy of the 2024 annual remedial effectiveness report, which is basically, these are all the cleanup items we did for the year 2024, in this example, right? We did A, B, C, D, and E for 2024. I have requested that document from EPA and NMD. I expect to have that document by Thursday, so that I can provide a copy of that to all of you. They're supposed to send that document out on a regular basis annually by the end of the first quarter of the following year. So we should get 2025 annual review effectiveness report by the end of March this year and telling us how they did in 2020, how they did in 2025, for example. As for the documents you're talking about as far as being the repository, so we used to have I don't know why I'm referring to that, I apologize. We used to have all of those documents there, located there at the village, Councilor Tejeda, and those documents would fill up an entire room there at the village offices, just binder after binder after binder, and they're all older information. The documents are really matter of the record of decision, which is the final thing that came out of the circular thing, which you guys have a copy of, and then there's documents that come out intermittently, reports that they are required to produce here and there so what ended up happening with the repository was, one of the prior administrations asked if we could move the repository off-site, and EPA said, and NMD said, sure, we can move the repository off-site, but we would like the record of decision to be on-site, and we would like for, if anybody comes in and asks for a copy of any of the documents, then we'd like that document to be delivered to them within a week, so that they can review those documents. And also NMEP has a copy of all the documents as well. I have all the documents stored at my office, and it fills up an entire room. And I did that as a favor to the village because it would have filled up the entire room. You guys would still have the room for that. So that's why the documents are not located on site at the village. But anybody who wants to review anything can simply let me know, and I can have that document delivered down, or those documents delivered down. Or if you'd like, I can move the entire repository back to the village. It's up to the pleasure of the council as to whether or not you guys would like the entire repository back. It's huge, and it's a lot of documents, and many of them are no longer really relevant because they were all for review, investigation, things like that, that were done decision, which is the actual things that they have to do to clean up the property. And that's why the record of decision document is the important document right now, along with these annual reports that they have to do, and they also have to provide us reports anytime they run into any problems, such as like an air quality issue, or they run into any problems with contractors or anything like that. We have to get copies of those types of things. But the repository is really, really large. It's a huge amount of documentation. Most of it is now pretty much irrelevant, but it is there for historical knowledge if anybody wants to look back at it.
Well, I beg to differ that it's irrelevant because I don't know anything that's taken place on all those cleanups that supposedly took place. Correct me if I'm wrong, shouldn't this have been taken to Judge Kelly and said we are no longer the repository, it's at EPA? Also, shouldn't a letter have gone to the judge saying that the cleanup has stopped for a year and we'll resume it in 2027? Shouldn't that have all taken place with the federal judge?
No, the stuff that happened in front of Judge Kelly was the lawsuit that was happening between Chevron and the United States of America regarding whether or not the United States of America was culpable for any part of the cleanup, because they were requiring, during the 50s, they were requiring the mine to clean up, to mine at a very, I lost you. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Okay. They were requiring the mine to produce molybdenum at a very, very high pace due to the World War II had just happened, the Korean War was happening, the Cold War was starting to wrap up. And so what happened was the United States government ruled, the court ruled that the United States government was partially responsible for the cleanup of the mine, and they had to contribute some of that funding for the cleanup of the mine. All those other decisions and items that you're talking about happened through EPA and NED, and we have a quarterly, or we're supposed to have a quarterly meeting with EPA and NED. We have not had a quarterly meeting last quarter, and we haven't had one yet this quarter. We sent an email last week for the status of that, and I got an email maybe a week and a half ago from EPA saying that they want to come down and have the quarterly update meeting with the village council sometime in either March or April. And that's the most recent request that we have. I mean, the most recent information that we have.
Yeah, I did see in the lawsuit that the Department of Agriculture, U.S. Forest Service is 30% responsible for partial cleanup, not spills, 300 spills that took place within the community in that time period. I did see all that, I did read it, and they took it up to Denver, and then looks like the government didn't proceed and just forfeited and said, yeah, we're responsible for 30% of partial cleanup, not all of it. So they are responsible, yeah, and 7% sugar. Okay, well, thank you.
Excuse me, point of clarification, Councilor Taylor. I was only repeating what Gabriel Herrera from Chevron came to a meeting and told us about. He said, as soon as we can, we want to get a bid packet together and we want to hire someone as soon as possible. But it might be in the fourth quarter before we're able to do that. So it's not just that I said it was going to be in the fourth quarter.
Well,
It came from Mr. Herrera in a meeting from Chevron.
and I was present at that meeting, but on a different meeting, you made it a point to say they're gonna get somebody sooner, and it could be
Yeah.
sooner, it could be, that's all I'm saying, and we could be later too. I told you that. It could be 2 years from now, we're not sure, because we don't have anything in writing. And that's what I'm asking for, is something in writing that actually shows that, this is taking place.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
and not to pick on you, just,
Yeah,
that's what you said, and that's what I
I just
responded
wanted to clarify.
to. Okay, that's all I have.
Councilor Rivals, Councilor Ortega, what we could do is that quarterly meeting, we can ask them for an update on that and for an update as to when they're expecting to resume the cleanup now that they had to give it a grant looking for a new contractor because they should be continuously cleaning up, over the next 25 years. So, we can ask for that information at the quarterly meeting, and I plan to do that. And I would encourage you all to attend that quarterly meeting. It's very informational. You can ask all the questions you want to ask, and it's a good meeting to attend.
And Mr. Rael, again, thank you for being here with us this evening. We have definitely missed your presence. During the talk, if there is any way you can help the residents from the village of Questa as far as employment, because granted, they were not treating the locals very fairly. They treated us different from the outsiders, which I guess maybe in a way we are, but and I can talk to you about that at a different time, but just remember to keep local employment as a priority, and that we should not be treated different than any other employee that comes in from out of state.
Yes, Councilor, I remember you and I talking about that, and I had a meeting with Chevron about the fact that local contractors were not getting the same compensation, they were not being paid for the same days off, they were not being given the same opportunities that people from Albuquerque, for example, or other out-of-town employees were being given, and we did raise those issues. We got in a pretty big fight with Granite about that, and that's one of the things that was one of the many things that led to Chevron getting rid of Granite was their employment practices. But as you know, there was a lot more involved with why they decided to terminate Granite from the mine site. Now, the question that Councilor Ortega asked at the beginning of this talk was whether or not we should be privy to that information. I believe we should be. I believe we should, as the main stakeholder, we should be able to see what happened between Chevron and Granite. But so far, Chevron is deciding to hold on to that letter, and we'll see what NMED and EPA say about that. But I'll let you guys know as soon as I have a copy, or if I'm even allowed to get a copy.
Thank you again. Have a good evening.
Councilman Montemillo.
You too. Thank you.
Mr. Rael.
Good to see you.
Mr. Rael, going back on something Council Member Ortega had mentioned, that it's been quite a while that I remember there being the timeline, and you might remember this, Councilor, you're there as a citizen at the VFW. They used to show the timelines of where they were going to be in 2027, because there was, I think, I don't know if they're still off on their timelines, but I remember 2025 was supposed to be this, 2030 this, and going back to that timeline, I think it was helpful because they used to show that all the time, and then that was, I think, had some kind of disclaimer on it, but at least there was something you knew what was coming next. And it's been quite a while. I know I missed the last quarterly meeting, but
They canceled it.
no, but the last one that
Oh,
because I know they missed one that you missed at the third quarter, but I know it's been a long time since they produced an outline of where they were in relation to the record of decision. I remember that timeline was with part of the record of decision. This is where we're going to be.
So some of the discussion, Councilman, I can help answer that a little bit, but discussions I've had recently with even NMED and Chevron, they aren't, that timeline's off right now. It's not even, they're going through another rod amendment, and Mr. Rael, correct me if I'm wrong, but that has to go before the judge and you have to approve that rod amendment. So they don't even have a time frame for starting work on the tailings dam right now either because of that rod amendment.
Yeah, that's correct, but at the next quarterly meeting, that's correct, Mayor, but at the next quarterly meeting, Councilor O'Neill, what I could do is ask them to bring updated timelines to the best of their ability, or even the old timelines, and say, hey, these are the old ones, and then the updated ones. Let's see what I can ask them to put together so that you can have them for your review.
The other update I have there, councilors, is as Mr. Rael said, Nicole Foster emailed about having a meeting in April. I said, face-to-face would be great in April, but I'd like to see something virtually before then, but she hasn't responded to me on that, so. April, they will be here, though. I don't know if they're planning to do a public meeting or just a stakeholder meeting with all of us and NMED, MNERD, and that group, but she did say they'll be here in April as long as the government don't shut down or anything again.
I guess that answers my question. The meeting is here.
Yeah, but
The quarterly meeting is in the chambers,
they'll be here or
somewhere close.
maybe at the, I mean, it's usually in here, just depending on how many people there are.
Yeah, if we could just get like an update a few days before, it would be nice, and we could schedule properly to be here and attend that meeting, Attorney Ryan. That would be good.
And then the other update, I know last meeting you all asked for us to do a tour of the mine, and I think Chevron's pretty open to it. We just need to, I think Miss Shannon sent out a request for dates.
11, we're looking for the 11.
The 11th? Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Rael?
No, sir.
It could be on anything not regarding Chevron. Well, thank you, Mr. Rael.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. It's good to see everybody. As I explained to the mayor, my parents are in town. We're working on my grandmother's will, so I asked them to put me as close to the beginning of the meeting as possible. If it's okay, I'd like to step off, but if I'm needed for any other part of the meeting, I'm glad to stay on. Please let me know.
I have nothing.
If we need anything, Mr. Rael will give you a call.
Okay, sounds good.
Sound good?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Next item is a presentation from Keaton Carvas, Questa Adobe. Mr. Carvas, just step forward, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so my name is Keaton Carvis. I'd come in about a month ago as a public comment to inquire about using some of the acreage at the business park for my budding Adobe business. And I had the pleasure of meeting with Jake and Karen over there, I think, 3 weeks ago. And it was it was a really enlightening experience. It was good to, it's one thing for the layman to walk over there and see the property, but not have any of the details or the know-how, the infrastructure, and some of the idiosyncrasies of how the road ends, and trying to preserve the pavement over there. And so my helper and I kind of walked the site, and we delineated kind of 2 acres just due north of the Taos Bakes building. So I guess there's a 4-acre parcel due north of that. And I think for now, we would only require 2 acres. Like right now, we are working on maybe 1/10 of an acre at our current site, and that can hold 2,000 to 3,000 bricks at a time. So 2 acres is quite a lot more than that by an order of magnitude. And I wish I had a more formal map presentation, but with day job and family life and daughters and stuff, didn't get around to it. But basically, in the business park, due north up against the fence of the Taos Bakes building, there is like kind of an auxiliary gate. There's somewhat of a dirt road that kind of connects along the north heading west, and it meets one of the main paved roads there. And so what we kind of decided on at the time is there's 2 acres right by that auxiliary gate. There's a hydrant and a water connection and a meter that I think can be occupied. And our plan is to have like kind of the mixing station of the dirt and the materials on that northeast corner of the property. We would produce bricks out towards the west and then pallet the bricks kind of where there's this little stub out of a road, so that way it could be easily
trucks could come in and we can easily load them up on a flatbed and kind of use that as a delivery site. So there'd basically be a nice flow from one side of the property moving west to the end of the property where we mix, produce, and ship. What I would imagine being a pretty smooth operation. And I'm certainly looking forward to the opportunity. I'd be happy to answer any questions any of you all might have. I would certainly like to start occupying or otherwise getting the space ready by mid-spring, April to May. Any later than May gets a little dubious because it starts cutting into the season there. Although looking at the weather, I could probably start making bricks today and it would be fine. But I have some other projects I need to get finished. But with that being said, I hope the village council here will look amenably upon this new business occupying some of the space. I'm planning on hiring some people, any locals or anyone who'd be interested in some honestly pretty intense, labor-intensive work, but in my mind and life, it's really rewarding to see a whole bunch of Adobes out on the field and getting them delivered to help people build houses and what have you. So I guess from my end, I really appreciate that site visit. So thank you both for your time. That was really helpful. And I would like to proceed to have you all operate in looking at a lease agreement and looking at a price for those 2 acres and water use at that site. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer to the best of my ability.
Did I say Carvas? Is it Carvas?
Just Carvis.
Carvis.
Yeah, anyways, good.
Question, would you be able to, so let me ask you, does your business work? You sell 100 Adobes, do they come pick up the Adobes in Questa, the sale happens here in Questa, or do you sell 100 Adobes in Taos and the sale takes place in Taos?
How do you mean again?
So if I live in Taos and I want to buy 100 Adobes from you, as an example,
Sure.
do I have to come pick them up here, or will you deliver them to me?
We do both. Yeah, we rent a skid steer with a forklift, so people want to come with a flatbed or back of a truck or even hand loading into a truck. They can come pick them up. If they want to get bricks delivered, we can do that. The driver I contract with has a limit of 2 to 3 hours, depending on how serious of a drive it is. But yeah, we do both, and we charge a little extra for deliveries.
But guess what I'm getting at is that if the transaction happens in Questa,
Mhm.
we get the gross receipts.
Yes, yeah,
But if
yeah.
the transaction happens in Taos, they get it.
You still get it.
No, you still
Just
get
to get it.
The sales actually here.
If the sale's here, that's right.
business is here.
That's not the way GRT works. It's
No.
wherever the sale takes place.
No, but he's selling it from here. Because it's different for the Taos Fix bars. They're getting produced here and shipped to be sold somewhere else. If they would go into, if his Adobes would go into Lowe's as an example, that what you're thinking would be like the Lowe's example of people buying it at Lowe's, and then the gross receipts tax would be in Espanola.
But I guess I would just ask that you keep your sales here
Yes,
and not sell them outside of.
for sure.
Well, it's just like, New East or West Lumber, they sell everything out of here, they grab it, Angel Fire, we still get the grocery receipts here, the sales at Questa. But
Mhm.
I have some questions.
And then you said you're going to hire a couple of people. How many are you thinking?
Well, so it'd be myself. I've got one helper who also lives in Lama, who's going to be my foreman. There's one young man who also lives in Lama. We'll see if he comes back, but I'm going to need at least 3 other individuals, I think, to have a smoothly running machine come summertime. And yeah, so hopefully I can find 3. If I can find 3 people, great. I mean, ideally, my helper / foreman is going to be running the yard while I'm either consulting or making sales or otherwise occupied in other situations. But yeah, at least 3 people to have a smooth operation.
Councilor Ortega.
Several questions. The first one is, what kind of machinery are you gonna be using to make these adobes?
That's a good question. So right now, what our machinery system is this. So we use a traditional 2x4 form. So we have 50 to 60 of those. That makes about 500 bricks at a time. So those are just all wooden out flat on the land. And then I rent a skid steer. It's a small unit. Are you familiar with the skid steer? Yeah. So we have one of those. It has a front end mixer. So it has a small front end loader with mixing paddles inside. And so that'll be used to pick the dirt up. And along with that, we're going to be running just basically a small concrete mixer, like a plaster mixer, essentially, just a little gas powered Honda one. And so that's going to be mixing another part of our recipe. So we'll be fusing those two, and then the skid steer will drive off to the forms and dump it out.
So, and as far as water use, is there meters on that business park to get the water metered, or else you're gonna receive water?
We'll make sure it's metered before.
So then he's gonna have a meter that comes to a spigot, or what? And that's how he's gonna, is that how you're planning on doing it, or?
Yeah, like I'm happy to work with the village on whatever utilities can be accessible. We could probably make do with a simple yard hydrant, with the garden hose attachment. I recommended potentially like a 2-inch flush hydrant as well, just to get a little extra water if needed in the future. Per brick, it's about 0.75 gallons that we use, and that does include cleanup and stuff at the end of the day. But in terms of like what we need, we're hopefully going to be keeping the mixing pretty centralized. And so we're not going to need water lines all over the place. Hopefully we can just have a spigot right at the meter and run some hoses when needed.
So how would that take place as far as metering water if it's off of the hydrant?
No, he's talking about a separate hydrant, not a fire
A
hydrant.
flush hydrant, 2 inches, that's the.
Yeah, but we can meter that. He's not gonna open the hydrant and just.
Yeah, not the current existing fire hydrant.
Yeah.
So I'm a water operator in Lama. And so basically we have unmetered fire hydrants that the department uses whenever they need to. But we have several connections that are attached to people's houses where there's a meter in the ground with a meter can. And then plumbed out of that is a water pipe that can either terminate in a 2-inch hydrant or a yard hydrant. So the water will be accessed from my side of the meter, essentially.
So I guess what I would ask Mary is, I know we're short meters in the village, that's I've been told for years now. Do we have a 2-inch meter?
Chair and Council, I did speak with Mr. Rael after we met with Mr. Carras at the business park. They do have meter stub outs already over there set up. The meter cans are not in there, but the meter, part of the meter is there. They have to put the rest of it. We do not have a 2-inch one. We have to order that.
Again, I'm happy to meet in the middle. If it's like a 1-inch or 3/4 inch meter, like we can start there.
My next question is, so you're gonna be bringing dirt in, correct?
Bringing what in?
The dirt to make the adobes?
Correct.
So where are you gonna be purchasing the dirt from, out of curiosity? Just
Sure, trade secrets.
no, I don't know, through, licensed commercial, someone who's doing business in the village who actually pays GRTs also, or is it out of the village?
Sure. Yeah, so they're commercial businesses. I get the bulk of my dirt material from Medina and Sons, and then I get my other dirt source from Mascareñas MTC up north. Whether or not they fall in your GRTs, I'm not sure, but those are my sources currently.
So Mayor, he's talking about the road that goes along next to what are those people's names, right next to the fence line. That's the road he's talking about.
Mhm.
How much weight, are we talking these trucks, are they capable of using that road and not, creating a lot of dust for the neighbors that are there, and dust mitigation? How would you control the dust mitigation when you're mixing all this stuff?
Sure. In the actual mixing process, there's not too much dust. We're not screening any material, so it's not just being dumped dry, basically. In terms of the trucks, I think that's where, like the system I kind of had described when I first started talking, I want to minimize the heavy trucks going on that north fence road. Like I don't want the trucks to be using that completely, like all the way through. And so I wish I had a map up. But my plan is to have the trucks come in on that north auxiliary gate, pull forward as much as they need to, and then back up, and then dump the dirt, and then pull out immediately from there, essentially. So I don't want them just driving all over the place either. And then in terms of mitigating dust, obviously we don't want the trucks driving on there fresh after a rainstorm. You know, I experienced that on my own site. But with the water use, if we have deliveries coming, we know we can just, as long as the ground is nice and dry and sturdy, you know, I'm happy just to wet the grounds down as the trucks come in, just to make sure there's no dust getting kicked up.
And as far as transporting, what are you using to transport these adobes?
So right now I have a fella I contract with, he has a pretty neat custom trailer. So basically it's, without getting too in the weeds, it's a long, narrow trailer that can hold 6 pallets of adobes at a time. And I do 66 bricks per pallet. So it's just about 400 bricks. And he essentially has a cage on the trailer that can be moved forward and backward with a winch. So essentially we load the adobes on this narrow trailer with the skid steer with a fork attachment. The cage rides over the adobes, picks up the pallet one at a time, and then drops the bricks off as he pulls forward in the truck. It's a really, really neat system, so we don't need the forklift on site where we deliver them. So that's been effective for us in the range of like these, 200 to 1,500 brick deliveries. I think he'd be willing to take on more deliveries as long as it's not too far of a drive. In terms of larger deliveries, that's something I'm certainly still trying to puzzle through. And if anyone has a friend with a flatbed or whatever that we can utilize, that would be super helpful. But otherwise, I know there's a contract trucking company out of Red River. I have yet to utilize them. I haven't had an order delivery large enough to warrant that yet. But I know that that's kind of in my back pocket if I need to. Oh, great, thanks. Yeah. So on that screen, there's obviously Tau Stakes building right there. And just, that whole north side, that whole north aspect of the Tau Stakes is 4 acres. I would be wanting to take the upper 2 acres. The dirt would come in on the northeast portion of the property. And then the brick storage and deliveries would happen on that stub out to the west of Tau Stakes. Just to make note that I don't want the delivery trucks to be driving up and over the end of that pavement, just to help just to make sure it doesn't break off over time.
So you're requesting to these 4 acres is what you're asking for?
No, 2 acres, just the upper 2 acres of that little section there.
So that's about 2 acres from the main road, 522 back to where that little, right there, that's
Yeah.
about 2 acres there?
Yep, I think just about, yeah. And there's a meter and a hydrant. I can't see it on the map here, but in that upper right quadrant there's an accessible water situation.
Well, how many adobes are you planning on making a day? What's your thought?
I mean, if we can pull off 500 a day, that would be pretty sweet.
You're looking at about 400 gallons of water a day.
Yes, sir.
And would that be a commercial, what? 1, 2, 3, what
I think that'd be class 5 manufacturing water use.
What does that fall under for the village? Part of
Good ordinance.
So I think he has a lot of good ideas. I think if we actually see, a little bit more. And me personally, I would like to see, exactly what's going to take place. He's explained it pretty good, but knowing what the hours of operation are. There's neighbors in that area right there. I don't know how they. We send letters, certified letters up for a mobile home coming in. What do we do for a commercial business going into close to a neighborhood like that?
Mm-hmm. That's a concern I had as well.
So I'm just wondering what we, as a council and the village, what do we, how do we see that?
That's already zoned for it, so we wouldn't have to send no letters or anything.
In terms of hours of operation, I'm planning on 8 to 3. I've got kids to pick up and yeah.
Counselors, do you have any questions for Ms. Shannon? Pulls up the.
I know you can just on it, but do you have an existing market for your Adobes?
I do. So offhand, last year I sold about 6,000, and that was I wish I had wish I had brought some more. Oh gosh, what's the word? Pardon me. Let's just say the amount of calls I got last year, I was sad that I could not fulfill all of my orders. And even right now, I have 2-3 months until I'm actually producing bricks. I already have 2 orders, each for 1,000 bricks. So it's nice to know I'm going into the season busy, essentially. In terms of my market, I am the only person I know in the county making Adobes. I might be wrong. I haven't heard anything advertised or seen anything. My business is Kestrel Construction LLC, doing business as Questa Adobe. I have a membership with the Earth Builders Guild. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's earth building conglomerate of businesses and contractors and suppliers and craftspeople in New Mexico and the Southwest and throughout the country that it's basically a network of people. When they search earth building, a repertoire of businesses come up, and I'm registered in that. Along with that, I'm friends with Helen Levine, who runs New Mexico Earth in Albuquerque, and she is wanting to retire. She's been doing it for like 50 years. And so if anyone calls basically north of Santa Fe or in Santa Fe, she tells them to call me. So I was getting a lot of calls from people like, oh yeah, we heard from Helen that you make bricks, and I just could not keep up with the orders. So fingers crossed that keeps up, but it's a pretty good demand. And from my perspective and my kind of goal as this business owner is, for me personally, I've taught Adobe construction in a high school. I've taught it through summer camps. So like education is kind of my main thing. And for me, making a bricks is kind of a means to an end to teach people how to work with this material. And so as much as the production of it is certainly my business, and I need to make sure that's functioning before I do anything else, I also already have scheduled for one of those 1,000 brick orders to run a workshop for someone in Sunshine Valley. So my passion doing that, running the workshop, it's my product. I hope to help this person get her house built, invite a whole lot of other people to come see what it's like, and they're using my bricks. So hopefully I'm creating my own client base and creating more customers by kind of hosting these sort of workshops for people.
Just out of curiosity, a couple more questions. Do you work with like Mark Goldman and Joaquin Catcher and Taos on renewable, sustainable homes? That's where I do see Adobe's also a sustainable material. So I'm just curious if you work with also Joaquin and Mark Goldman.
Sure. So Mark Goldman and I think I've known him for about a decade. I always took his UNM class, 2015, I think, is when I started working with him as a student. And when I built my own Adobe home, I called him, I think, weekly, if not bi-weekly, asking for tips. So I keep in touch with him. Maybe, whenever I see him, we always chat. If there are opportunities for sustainable housing or affordable housing, like I would certainly want to be inputted into those situations. I also supplied bricks for Rob Wired last fall, and I heard he's might be doing affordable housing contracting in this area. But for his project, he had super lightweight concrete walls, like really, really lightweight, and then he did Adobe interior walls to act as a thermal mass, which I thought was really smart. So yeah, insulating outside, storing heat on the inside. And that's part of these workshops is like, I have an Adobe home I built myself, and even on the coldest nights, it's a little fire, and with some windows on the south side for collecting sunlight. Like, my house is really efficient. It's very cozy, as my wife can attest. Yeah.
Explain the drying process again too.
The drying process?
Yeah,
Okay, sure. So, like I said, we have forms for 500 bricks. We pour the mud into those bricks pretty wet, just so it settles and fills up the entire space. We leave the bricks in the forms overnight, and that serves a couple purposes. For ending at 2 or 3 in the summer, that's right when the monsoons are hitting. If there is that afternoon monsoon, if those bricks are in the forms, then they're going to be just fine the next day. This is what I've experienced this last summer. So once they've had a day to dry, or overnight to kind of settle a little bit, we go up and pull the forms, maybe give them a quick scrape, move them on to where we're producing next. So now those bricks are sitting pretty wet, but on the ground in one piece. In my experience, if it's, hot days, maybe some wind, even with monsoon in the afternoon, usually by the next day, they're ready to be tipped up. So that alone is a job that I'd like to give. It's just somebody honestly tipping up hundreds of bricks a day. Like, that's really taxing, as I would know. And so once you tip them up, they are, standing on edge. So now the sun is hitting and the wind is getting more of their surface area, and they dry out. And it takes, again, depending on the weather, we can usually pallet them in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The longer they can sit there and cure, the better. But if we get them on a pallet in 2 to 3 weeks and then let them cure on a pallet, that's also okay. The New Mexico Adobe Code does specify that bricks should not be used in a structure until they're fully cured, which can take about a month. The longer the better. So knowing that, there is certainly a delay from when I'm making the bricks to when I can sell them, which can be anywhere between, 3 to 6 weeks, weather depending.
just out of curiosity, we experimented with, kind of off topic, with a greenhouse effect over the adobes, just to see. And that way they don't get any rainfall, but just to see, comparing those adobes to other adobes, just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great, my young helper, Joshua Aragon, who's a very sharp kid, he helped me my first year 2 years ago, and we had that same problem where I was going and tarping bricks in the middle of the night because of a rainstorm. And the next day he's like, what if we put them in a greenhouse? And I was like, that's not a bad idea. I've yet to try it, but yeah, I would totally imagine if you had a decently sized hoop house, enough for a skid steer to get in, lift the sides up, even have a solar fan on either side. That would be potentially radical, because then I can also extend the month out on either side. I can start earlier and end a little later too. The capital that takes to build a big hoop house, I don't quite have at the moment, but it's certainly worth experimenting. Yeah.
And I do have questions, but they're more for Karen, so we can hold off.
Councilors, do you all have any questions?
No, very informative, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting, and also I was wondering about the safety about a flying face. A little surprised that there is that much activity or that much request for adobes.
Mm-hmm.
I just, we restored the church a few years back, and at that time there wasn't anybody doing, or very few people. I think we got one out of, he was out of Arroyo Hondo.
It was
Romero.
yeah.
So he did the bricks for the church, but I'm glad to know that somebody else is in that market. We really do need it up here, so thank you for your presentation.
Sure. And just to speak on that note too, a couple years ago, Mel Medina passed away. I think it was 3 in September. But he ran the Adobe factory out of Alcalde.
Oh, yes.
And so he was making, basically his operation was so big, he was making millions for the entire Southwest. And that, at the moment when I heard that, I was like, oh, like this is gonna go away if there's no one there to kind of fill that void. And so I think for his operation was just absolutely massive. Millions and millions a year. So I think when he was I mean, kind of monopolized it in a way to the point where like any demand was just going to him essentially. And so I think there's going to be a lot of room for around the state, hopefully to, like, I want to have a life, like I've got a couple daughters and a wife, so I don't want to have the million brick business, but certainly like there's a lot of room to fulfill. Like people want them, and yeah, I'm happy to give them, make them and give them. Yeah. It's hard work though, but
Yes.
yeah.
But like you said, very satisfying.
Yes.
Satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Any more questions, Lynn?
To answer the question, commercial class 5 says all large-scale business operations shall be classified under commercial class 5, regardless of actual water usage, including but not limited to public school facilities and manufacturing or processing facilities. So under commercial class 5, the base rate per month, $210.54 for up to 30,000 gallons. And then it's $3.53 for each additional 1,000 gallons.
Ms. Shannon, how would you go about putting a dollar value and appraised value to do this project for a lease?
Counselor, we did ask an appraiser to do an appraisal, but he cannot get to it until April 1st. So, Mr. Carvas has suggested $150 a month, I believe,
Per acre.
for the lease. We don't know how close that is to the actual appraisal. That's something that they'll have to look further into.
And then the second question I have is, are we, as the village of Questa, definitely not gonna do anything with that particular 2 acres? Because there was a reason why that gate was there, that 2 acres, and why the building is setting where it's setting. So, I hate to commit to Mr. Carvas and then a year from now, we came up with the money and so do we definitely not have the need for it anymore? And I'm kind of dancing on. So at one point, the village had determined that we would build a second main station on that property, and that's why that gate was there and why that road was, that little dog leg in the road was there, was to give fire department the ability to bring apparatus in from both sides. And the original money that went for the renovation, originally the seed money that was supposed to start that new fire department. So, like I said, I don't want us to make a deal with Mr. Carvas and then we pull the rug out of it from them down the road.
Mr. Carvas is asking for a lease from April to October. So it's not gonna be year round. This is kind of a trial to see how it goes. And then basically when he's on the non-use months after he's done, it's back to where it was, what it looks like right now. Is what we talked about. So if in the future, he needs more acres, we can possibly look at more acreage. We haven't given up on the firehouse. It doesn't necessarily have to be in that spot. It can be in someplace else there in the business park. But you're correct, the firehouse was supposed to be there.
So just a follow-up on that, the $1 million that we did have for that. And Ms. Vio, you can help me with this, but we're looking at putting that into the old station and not, we couldn't make it work through USDA for a new station there.
And I remember you guys saying that that's where the money was gonna go. And the current renovation is partially from there too, right?
No,
And then just to that point too, I have no current plans on putting any permanent buildings there. So all I'm doing is just grading it flat So I'm just basically making a building site. But yeah, in terms of the lease, I was thinking, yeah, for this year, thank you, Karen, to April to October, if as a trial year, essentially. If in the future that site works, we're doing well, I'd certainly like to entertain a year-long lease just to keep hands on it. If y'all need it for other things, obviously that can be discussed. And we also did, this is longer term, but we did look at the far west end addition of the warehouse as well as a potential indoor site. I don't feel the need to touch upon that now, but I went and looked at it, and for me, having an interior brick storage facility or what have you would certainly be a boon. So I just want to say, I have interest, but it's not quite in the cards for me at the moment. If you end up renting it or leasing it to somebody, I'm obviously not going to stop you, but just letting you know, I have interest in that new west side addition for that building, because that was pretty nice in there.
So I think we have a lot of homework to do. We need to figure out, before we bring it back to council for approval, we need to figure out what, number one, that market value is going to be on the lease, to make sure that that's right. And number two, make sure that we're able to meter that water usage to what it needs to be. So we have a little bit of homework to do, Mr. Carves. Thank you for your presentation. You'll be hearing from us.
Cool. Yeah,
When we get all that information, we'll call you back and we'll discuss this again.
Great.
Maybe take action.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to say thank you all for your time, your questions. Hope to, just thank you so much. Hope it works out. It's a great location, good advertising by the road, you got water and flat ground. Anyway, I hope it all works out. And again, yeah, thanks for your time and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Y'all have a good evening. I have to get home to my family.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Next item is discussion with the life corral. Juan Cisneros, Mr. Cisneros, it's district basketball season, and he was at both of daughter and something tonight, so he couldn't make it, and don't blame him, family comes first, but he did, and did we all get one of these? Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to read it? Do you all want to just read over it? And
I'd like to just read it, just so we all, know what's going on here, if you can. You don't have a problem with that, man?
no, go ahead, read it.
Okay. In 1995, my father and uncles built the corrals at the village. Since then, my family and had a handful of others have used them to brand and ship out cattle to the sale barns in Colorado. The corrals are in very bad shape. It's pretty much falling down, and it's been this way for about 10 years now, and continues to get worse. About 3 to 4 years ago, I put together a proposal to fix the corrals and lease the property around for grazing cattle. At the time, I was told the village had other plans for it. Since then, nothing has happened with any improvements of the corral, and the well has not been fixed. But it has started to become somewhat of a dumping site for trash. I would like the village to consider my offer, and I would like to get the corrals fixed, the fences out, back up, and I would clear up the trash on the property. Sorry I couldn't make it there tonight. Our kids have district basketball games. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me, Juan Cisneros. And to be fair, Mayor, if I may, I'm not sure what the proposal is. I've never seen the proposal. You guys might have seen it before. I was on council. I'm not sure, but I think it would be beneficial if he came and gave some sort of, what he wants to do, like Mr. Carlos over here.
I think that'd be beneficial too, and I don't remember actually him putting anything in writing as far as a proposal. It's kind of the same thing as this, but I tend to agree with Mr. Cisneros that those corrals are in disrepair. again, we're back to having to figure out what fair market value is on that property, but with what he's proposing to fix the corrals, there might be, that's gonna be a trade-off. I think even what he told me is that he would even pull that old single white trailer that's parked there out and get rid of that, so. That would be nice, yeah, that looks like crap there, there's nothing we can do with it, we can't burn it. So, something to consider, I know those corrals, what he has told me is that there's only about 3 or 4 ranchers that still use them, himself included, but one of the things from my discussion with him that I told him was that if we do, as a council, decide to move forward with this, it also is village property and it can't just be you and your family that use it. It's not, I want it to remain open to any residents to be able to use it. And he was on agreement with that. He was okay with that, so. Do you all have any discussion on that? I know those corrals are in bad shape because we used to use them, we haven't used them in years. But.
I think it's a great thing that he's, what he's wanting to do, but, you know, again, we do need to see what his, offer is, what it is. Of course, fixing all the fences and doing that kind of stuff, but it'd be nice to have something in writing.
I know another thing is that the kids at Questa have been wanting rodeo grounds and we haven't found the money for it yet, but that would probably be the ideal place to put them if we do get the money for it. So I think there would have to be some kind of a clause that, granted, there's still a lot of property that you could lease, but we do get rodeo grounds that we would carve out that, just a little bit of area to build them. Any other discussion? We'll move on then to financial report. Ms. Segura.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I provided you guys with a financial report in your packet. I do want to just say that I am open to any kind of suggestions that you guys want to be able to sit there and see the financials in a certain way. If you guys would like charts, I can work on doing that. If you guys would like comparisons, I was thinking about doing a comparison from last fiscal year month to the current to just kind of see where we're at from past to present. If that's something that you guys wouldn't care to see, I'm open to any suggestions. This one here is from December because the last reconciliation was done in January. I am currently working on reconciling now in February for January. So we're right on track alongside where we should be, but that's why it's showing for December. I stand for any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Not related, well, I guess, so still Karen's thunder now. So I saw the front page of the report, small cities came in at 598,000.
Yes.
355, wow, that's unheard of. I know a few years back, I think we got 230, and that was unheard of at the time, 280. Wow. Kind of like your idea of the year over year comparison as well.
Would you prefer a graph or a chart or just numbers side by side?
For me, it's numbers side by side, but it doesn't. I'm fine with looking at a pie chart or a bar graph.
That works for me. Numbers side by side is easier, so.
No questions, Mayor. Thank you for your hard work. Very complicated, but good.
Thank you, Council.
No questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next items, matters from the administrator.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our fiscal year 2026 second quarter report was approved by DFA on February 12th. Mrs. Segura and I met with our budget analyst virtually last week and to talk about the report and go over things on there. There will be no budget conference this year. They have decided to do quarterly trainings each time that there are different requirements as they change, and they will be virtual. So our first one is next Wednesday, and both of us have registered for that. We continue to meet as staff to keep movement on all the projects. We'll be meeting this Thursday about the LOR grants, and we'll have an update to include in your packet for the next meeting. I've changed the format of how the reports are gonna look for you, so maybe you'll have a little bit better idea of what we're doing with that. Mrs. Vihil has reached out to our insurance representative about the roof leaks at the youth center. We haven't heard back from them yet, but we're gonna get working on that as soon as possible. It is temporarily fixed. We had a meeting with Taos County about the GRT for fire and EMS. We will be getting 6.5%. I had mentioned at the last meeting that it was 6% because that's what Ms. Rollison and I had talked about on the phone. But it is 6.5%. Red River and Taos-Ski Valley will also be getting 6.5%. Town of Taos will get 10.5%, and the county will retain 70%. We will be having future meetings with them to see what it will look like for the fiscal year 2027 as we work on our budgets. The legislature closed on February 19th at noon. That was last week. The governor has until March 11th to approve the bills. New Mexico Municipal League will host a virtual legislative recap on Thursday, March 12th at 2 p.m. I did put the information on your desk. We can also get the link at the New Mexico Municipal League website on their event calendar on that day. You just click on the link and it'll pop up for your meeting. I will be attending that. I registered our 3 zoning commissioners for the free virtual planning and zoning commissioners training to, this Thursday with the Municipal League. So hopefully they'll all attend. The next available one was not until September in person. So they are, all 3 of them are gonna try and do this virtual training. There's an updated travel list on your desk. If you'd like to attend any of the conferences or others that are not listed, please contact our finance director to get you registered and so she can make your travel arrangements. Our fiscal year 2025 audit is still under review at the Office of the State Auditor. I have not heard anything back from the auditor or from the state auditor. We usually get it back in about March, end of February, March, but I haven't heard anything yet. The leadership team and I will meet next week to begin our fiscal year 27 budget process. Since personnel is 80% of our budget, we're gonna start there. Everybody's gonna get where they're at, what the budget was this year, where they're at so far, and then we're gonna start working on our plans for the next year. I haven't looked up yet what the COLA is, but it's not that big. We'll look up some different things. We'll be in conversations with all of you to figure out about an increase. Friday, March 6th is our employee appreciation breakfast from 9 to 11:30. Please RSVP with Ms. Vihil if you plan to join us, because so that we can plan enough food. We're gonna be placing an order for burritos. We're gonna have a yogurt bar and enough juice and coffee and things. So if you'd like to attend, please let us know so that we can include you on the list. Outside, there are 2 new police vehicles that you approved at the last council meeting. Chief Romero is scheduling them for decals and for the equipment installation for the radios and the lights and such. So as soon as we can get them rolling on the road, we will have them in service. And like Mr. Jaramillo said, and it was in your financial report, we received our small cities allotment. That's one of the biggest ones I've seen, so I'm very happy. We do have big matches on several grants, and that's probably gonna take it. We did budget 95,000, so it's over 500,000 in addition to what our budget is. One of the big matches is the Water Trust Board grant and loan that we received. It has a $270,000 match. So that's probably gonna take a big chunk here. We also have a bunch of road matches that we're gonna need. Plus, we're gonna apply for more road money. So we're just gonna, this is gonna help big. We will use some of our current road money for some of those matches, but a lot of it's gonna be taken out of here, and then we can move forward with those projects. Stand for any questions.
Councilor Ortega.
Who's our auditing company? Who do we use for?
Willoughby out of Clovis. Yeah, I think this is the last year that we can use them. We have to go out for RFP on next year. But we have to wait until the Office of the State Auditor puts out the approved list, and then we can go out.
That's all I have, thank you.
Is Tailspace still in the building or have they vacated?
They're in the building through the end of March.
Mhm.
Mr. LaForest and I did go over there, and there's a lot of everything is empty pretty much in there. They're getting rid of things, they're selling things off. That big Connex box outside is for sale for $4,000. He thought he had a buyer and they haven't come through. So anybody wants to buy a Connex box, he's selling it.
Just sounds special now, because you can't sell it.
We did look at filing cabinets. They had some nice filing cabinets in there that at a much less price than what we can get ordering them brand new.
Are they fireproof?
They are not fireproof. So we are gonna get a couple of those, and then we were gonna get a small refrigerator to have use in the chambers here so that you guys would have water, cold water there where you were sitting.
Mayor, has the village considered buying other pumps? That's a hell of a deal, man.
That's what,
Can you use that for the healing protocol?
well, that's what,
That's a hell of a deal.
Mr. LaForest suggested that the village purchase that box, and that'd be a storage spot for, the guys back there. They have some equipment that's outside, so.
I call this.
She was already coming in.
Why don't we just wait for them to leave and then we just take possession of it?
And cancel the law?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it won't, for that price, it won't have a problem selling it.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Could
anyone,
not be. I haven't reached out to him. We were gonna talk to Mr. Rayal. He's been out for a couple of days sick. But I was gonna talk to him and see if he wanted it, we could get it. Where would we locate it? In his backyard over there? We'd have to have a space to put it. I don't know how much it would cost to move it. That's another consideration. We have to find a company that'll move that big box. Just down the road, but you know, it costs a little bit to move them. So we are considering the purchase.
Another question, Mayor?
Questions, but kind of matters for mayor and council, but other questions for Ms. Shannon, so.
want to hold off on them?
Sure, but I just want her to stand.
Okay, go ahead.
Counselor, I guess I don't know.
Councilor Guerrero, did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
I see, yeah,
Oh.
thank you, no questions.
So we'll move on to matters from the mayor and council, but I'm gonna start this one off just because I have directed staff not to pursue raising our GRT anymore. I think it was, not the right time to do it. I think, and number two, we're running up against the time clock, and I don't think that we could have gotten it done on time, so I did direct them to, let's go ahead and drop that. And I hope that might answer some of your questions. I have also, directed staff, and we might need to, do a moratorium on it, but we're not to sell bulk water until we fix our bulk water rates, and that will fix that.
Good.
But we might have to, and I have to check with Mr. Ayala and make sure that we don't have to vote on that as a council, as a moratorium to our, I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that says we have to sell bulk water. But I just have to double check with Mr. Ayala to say, if not, I'll bring that to council for a vote. because I agree the water rate was too low. I do want to, and Councilor Ortega, you asked about the agenda and how you get stuff on it, and did some research, and I wish Mr. Rael was on, but we do need to pass a resolution that with our rules of order, which we'll be bringing to the next council meeting, which will address all that for you. We are a mayor council, strong mayor council, so with all due respect to all of you, it is my duty to run the day-to-day of the village office and the village as a whole, actually. Not just the office. So part of that is doing the agenda, and part of that is all the employees are under Ms. Shannon and myself. So I do ask, because I know so many of your concerns in the community, and I do ask that you do bring those to Ms. Shannon or myself before they get addressed to any of the employees directly, whether that be on your own or in a meeting. It should come to us, let us investigate and find out what those concerns are, and then we'll come back and report to you all. My next item is Mr. LaFuente. I know we talked about doing another auction. Do you have any updates on that?
We were going to do the auction of those divas, and then that was put on hold. We haven't moved forward on anything else. I wanted to do a spring auction. Late spring for sure. But we just need to get with the department heads and see what they want to put in the auction, and if you want to do those divas again, we can put those in. It's pretty easy to do. We just have to put notice out in the community, in the paper maybe. Move forward.
I know there's that couple of fire trucks, and I know there's a couple of old police vehicles that probably, I don't like junk hanging around. And I shouldn't call it junk, I'm sorry, not to offend anyone, but I don't like vehicles that are sitting there just broken, not being used. And then when you get
Since you took administration,
Yeah, your options have been very successful, so thank you for that.
I will turn it over to council.
Have nothing to see in
I was late because of that meeting with the bike trail people in Champion Circle, Joe's. So there's many things that are taking place within the Enchanted Circle, from Taos to Santa Fe. There's an idea for a single track mountain bike system between Taos and Santa Fe. There's whole sorts of projects going on within all the entities for bringing in mountain bikers, people ride horses, motorcycles. There's so many things that are going on. I can imagine that northern New Mexico, in probably maybe 15 years, maybe sooner than that, we're gonna be a destination for outdoor recreation. So I had to leave early because I had to get here. Also thinking about that new bridge that was just done. It's a little Sao Paulo in the middle. Is that on purpose? Thinking that it was supposed to be like this, a little.
we have a call with the contractor, the engineer coming up. We can address that.
Right. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Just a question for you, Ms. Shannon, is off the top of your head, what's your number one priority?
Number one priority as far as what?
The village.
Well, right now, we are getting into budget, and we need to be sustainable in all departments. We want to keep our fire department. We want to keep full coverage in our police department for 24/7 coverage. We're not there yet. We're getting close. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by primary priorities, but that is what comes to my mind first. I kind of go toward my deadline, so I have to look far in the future, but we need to come up with a 5-year plan at some point for growth, for sustainability. We met with the QDF and did that whole thing with the comprehensive plan. We need to continue working on that. I have a personnel policy that I'm working on. We need to work on that. Emergency procedures, emergency manual, we gotta work on that. I mean, I have a lot of irons in the fire. I'm trying to touch a little bit on different things every week, but there's a lot there. I try to take direction from the mayor and the council for priorities, but I do have other things that we have to get done for day-to-day operations.
And you kind of, me and Karen didn't work this out, but you did say what I wanted you to say, is that we need to all come together and that we need to work on, our priority list as the village. There's stuff that you do, that you need to do as administrator that are operational, but then I think coming together in our overall village priority list of where the planning and zoning ordinance is gonna be, the new one. And then we had talked, right before Councilor Ortega got on, revisiting the water rates, and I think we did touch on that, because we brought up bulk water in his first meeting, but I know there's a lot, and I don't know if we need to have a work study session or retreat where we kind of get our priorities from here to you guys, and we sit down and work that together. I thought a couple of years ago, we had a pretty good retreat when we did in Albuquerque that kind of touched on this, and just kind of revisiting it, and doing more of a work study sessions. And something the mayor called me returned his call yesterday, and something he brought up with me, and I thought about it too, is he said about doing work study sessions, maybe the first Tuesday of the month, and then the fourth Tuesday be the one where we take action on something. And I thought that we kind of used to do that when I worked here, is the first Tuesday or whatever it was then, the first council meeting of the month was our work study, or we'd call it a special meeting then, and that was designed that way. And then the following meeting would be where we would vote on stuff. It's just something for us to think about. And then, if you don't have no questions for me on that, just have another comment. We have all this stuff around us. Either we're going to use it or we're not going to use it. And I don't think this mic works anymore. And either we make this stuff work or let's get rid of them. And I kind of liked when we were recording the meetings. I know we could probably hit up Dylan or Questa Del Rio for a copy of the meeting, but I kind of like the idea of we had Mr. Rael on earlier, that getting back to having Zoom meetings, or what we practice if we were out of town is that we would jump on Zoom and participate that way. But I think just giving the public that option of being able to view the meeting. I know people do look at it on Questa Del Rio on their Facebook page, and I know if I'm gonna look at the school board, that's where I could see the stuff too, is there versus going in person. That's the end of my comments.
I don't think Dylan's been going to the school board, I haven't seen him yet. And then, as far as the Tuesdays, first and third, I think Mr. Hill has school board meetings on those days, so Monday or Wednesday. That would be kind of good if we need her to participate.
Well, I think what he's suggesting, Counselor, is that our first meeting of the month, like, for example, tonight was the first meeting of the month, even though it's the second.
It's the second.
I'm
It's
lost.
2 minutes.
So that's okay.
I'm lost. Don't worry about me. My mind's in the cloud all the time. So this would be our action item meeting. Then the 10th would be our work
Work
study.
study,
For the regular meeting?
right, or there's some, it's just an idea, but like, if you're doing, let's say it won't work that way for the zoning ordinance, a whole bunch of meetings, but if we were discussing, we got a formal proposal for Mr. Carvas, we already talked about it, at the next meeting, we would vote on it. So he would be here at the first meeting of the month, and then we'd vote on the second meeting.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I have a bunch of stuff. Mr. Comfort for me.
Yeah.
Just off of what Councilman Jaramillo said, can we start looking for dates for that retreat? Because we need to do our budget retreat, and we could do it all in 2 days. Maybe not do it all in 2 days, but we can do 2 days of retreat, 1 day on the budget and 1 day on the kind of stuff that Councilman's talking about.
Okay.
And just start, if we can, Council, I don't know how soon you'll be ready to talk about budget. That's gonna be not until May or June or April, but
So the budget, Mayor, is due on June 1st, and we have to have a public hearing before then as well. So, probably by mid-April, early May, I would not really want to go into May. I'd like to do it in April, so we have time to build and decide on things so that we can really hash out the numbers in May and get it approved with our public hearing.
sounds good. Councilor.
First, I'd like to start off by thanking Karen. I thank you for, being so new to the council, and we have all these meetings and you're always updating me with stuff and giving me opportunity and printing me my things. I really appreciate that. It shows that you really know your job and you're the glue that holds us together, I can tell. So, and everybody else I've worked with has been pleasant. It's great. So I don't have any problems with any of the staff. I think you guys are doing a great job. And I just like to see that continue, and that way we can move forward on a bunch of projects we have. So thank you, Karen and staff. The next thing I'd like to ask for Chief to be here. I don't want to murder your last name, so if you could tell me. Bobick, okay, Chief Bobick to be here, because I have some questions. So, and I expressed this to everyone. We don't want to see the fire department or the EMS lose any kind of employees. But, as you see that the budgets and what we're losing and what we're missing, I was just thinking, is there any way, do you guys have like a trained sawyer in your fire department?
Councilor, and Mayor. A lot of the wildland stuff that we're working on, is getting ready to go into full swing. I'm getting ready to order, some like pack tests. We have to get everyone red carded and through like some basic training, before we can start doing some of those advanced trainings. But that is one of the things I'm looking at is, wildland deployments to make some additional revenue.
And also the reason I ask is that there's some way you can work with Karen and, John, and then maybe some of this elm tree mitigation stuff. You guys need some practice throwing some trees that are beneficial to the whole, community, honestly. And, our fields down for the Little League, I would like to see the Little League this year, use those facilities. And I think we can all come together and, pitch in. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't lose any of your place, but I don't want to put them to, do something that it's not my position to say what to go do, but that's something you can decide with Karen and maybe John and the mayor. You guys can come up with some plan to, make sure that the community sees that our fire department, our EMS is busy, I know that all, but there's no doubt that is there, it's also big. But if our fire, then we can justify, we need to keep our fire department, but they help with tree mitigation, they help with whatever it is, like painting fire hydrants, whatever you got to do. I think that would be great, and I'm glad for you being here tonight. And I would like to see the fire departments be in full swing, but with these cuts we're getting, I don't want to have to lose anybody. And I think that would be our first step is, getting all together and figuring out what you can help, in the community with besides, going to fires, which is important too, don't get me wrong, but,
So I know you weren't council when I first got here. I've almost been here a year. I'm big on creating a 1 year and 5 year plan. So I presented that, I think my first or second month here. I'm updating that now, but one of my big things is community risk reduction, like thinning, cutting trees down, making sure we have access to areas. So I'm in full agreement as far as that's concerned. There's definitely things that we can do long-term as we advance to community risk reduction is a big thing.
So I appreciate that, but I have one question, I don't know if it's for you or for Karen, but the police station over here is half police station, MVD, and that end piece, is that fire EMS or who is that?
So right now I'm using it as my admin building. So all filing, controls, substances, main stock for restocking of the ambulances and any additional like equipment is kind of stored there. Long-term, kind of one of my other, I'm giving you guys a little spoiler alert to my 1 year and 5 year plan, but is adopting a code, fire code within the village. And so like the fire inspector would have all his files out of there as well. And by doing that, we actually can get additional funding from the state if we have a main station, a substation, and an admin building, approximately $50,000 a year.
Okay.
So.
And the reason I'm asking that is because we just talked about these 2 units that are sitting out here. I hate to see the catalytic converters kicking off and the batteries and all this, because we do have that problem, and those vehicles are probably worth a lot in that sense. And I would like to see those vehicles stored somewhere for right now, whether it be there or, back. I don't know where they're stored, but that would be something you guys can figure out where we put those vehicles for now.
You're talking about the police station?
Yeah.
So we can put it in the, box fence over here.
Well, that's good, because, I always think about it, like, wow, they still have, a battery in them, and they still have, catalytic converters in them.
I'll have Chief move on.
Yeah, that's a great idea, so, but I thank you for your time, and that's all I have for you.
Absolutely.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Well, not a question, a comment for you.
Okay.
When did you guys cut off that car in front of the station?
We cut that up on Thursday. This last Thursday, we did a vehicle extrication training. We had new electronic equipment that we were trying to get at least people's hands on before we put them in service. So everyone that was at the training got to use the tools and get comfortable with them. So they are in service and on the truck ready to use.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next time invite me.
Yes, sir.
Next time, I don't know if you know that, that's one of the main classes I teach at the fire academy is vehicle extrication.
There's always an open invite, Mayor. But I will let you know when we're doing an extrication class for sure.
And I'm not saying that, telling you have to invite me, I just give you a hard time.
Oh, I know you are.
I don't know if,
The white car.
The Subaru.
The Subaru.
Did you cut both of the cars or just one?
Just one. We only had one.
I don't know if you all have seen the equipment that they got, but they got battery operated. So as I just said, I teach, and I'm kind of a geek on some of this stuff, but they got battery operated spreaders and cutters and rams, which basically you all would know them as the jaws of life. They're not really the jaws of life anymore, but they're equipment to, if somebody's stuck, to get them cut out.
And one of the big reasons, I like to stay modern when possible. And the modern tools are kind of the way to go, because some of the older stuff is very dependent on an extra machine starting. We actually had a gas leak in one of ours, and we went to go use one of the tools and it wasn't operational. And so that's why we went and purchased these. That way they're always operational. You push a button, they're ready to rock.
Instead of having make sure that the machines are full of gas, make sure that the batteries are charged at all times.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Another thing I'd like to touch on is, see some committees, Mayor, waste, liquid waste, water, so we can make some policies. I'd like to see that come pretty quick, if we can actually start working on stuff as a council, and try to get something, down that's not gonna, be at the last second, actually work on it and get it the way we want it, so it's actually reads the way we want it to read. That would be great. On this, planning and zoning committees, I'd like to know when that is, because I'd like to attend one of those and see how that goes.
We have 2 more positions to nominate, and we haven't done anything on that yet, but
Okay. Next thing is, I want to touch base a little bit. I've been on the solid waste committee for a couple of meetings now. I want to touch base a little bit with what's going on. Billy Romero is the new chair. He's the Taos County Councilor. Jason Silva is the vice chair. He's the deputy county manager, correct? Deputy. So, and those 2 great guys. We did talk about a lot of NOVs, which are notice of violations going back from 2023. I wasn't aware until I got into this committee that actual dump belongs to the town of Taos. I thought it belonged to the county. It actually belongs to the town. Which is kind of cool. But they did talk about some new machinery they need to buy because, and we need to be aware of it. There's a lot of mattresses being thrown and they're causing a lot of problems, and the bulldozers getting inside the wires are getting inside of them and taking them down for 3 and 4 hours at a time. So they're looking at purchasing, or someone's gonna talk about trying to do work for the county and actually bring a machine in that takes the metal out of the mattress, and that way they can just use the filling for the dump. But they are gonna start charging $20 a month more for a mattress. So we need to be aware of that at the village here, that somebody brings a mattress, they need to at least be charged $20 so we don't end up covering that cost. So that's something for us to look at. We talked about the NOVs, they're looking at buying or leasing a bulldozer for $1 million. The mattresses was really important. We were supposed to do a site visit last meeting, and the winds didn't allow us to do that. We're getting a bunch of trash gates that are going to hold the trash in from blowing up to fences and stuff, because that's one of the notice of violations they have, was trash flying around on fences. They talked about they can't actually put like the 2 feet of dirt they need, because then the next day they fill it again. So they're trying to use tarps now and some other stuff to keep the trash down for the next business day, so they don't have to waste so much property. Another thing that was all about that. Another thing I'd like to see is we asked for a report from Judge Rael on how many cases he had. We can get that this month, this week, this 2 weeks.
did you, Ms. Shannon, ask him? So just FYI, Counselor, Judge Rael is an elected official too, like the rest of us. So he doesn't necessarily report to us, or he doesn't report to us. And that's gonna be probably what he tells us, but we can ask.
I think actually the judge and the council and the mayor all work together hand in hand. And that way we know what's going on. It can't be a secret thing,
We do work hand in hand, but
Well, that's part of it, a report with 500 citations and 499 got dismissed. That'd be good for us to know. Or for me to know, by the council.
we can ask. And like I said, I'm not gonna guarantee that.
I don't even have to go there and look for stuff, but I could if I have to, There's always a way to do it, so.
That's a way to do it. is it?
Yeah, but the best way is work together, because then I don't have to do that, but I can go do that if I need to. QEFD meetings, I've never heard of them being posted anywhere.
So EDF?
Oh, yeah. I would like to go to those meetings. When are those usually taking place?
So usually the first Monday of the month, and I will have Counselor, and Councilman Jaramillo can back me up on this, that I've been asking for them to post those meetings and make them public since I've been on the QEDF. So I don't know why. There's no requirement.
So yes, he has asked for that one, right? Jason got on the council, yes, the same thing that you just did. And then I think Glenn responded back that it's not a public meeting. Anybody can go, but it's not like we're a public body. They're not a public body, but anybody can still go.
But they need to know what they're doing, they show up every day and,
Right.
hope that there's a meeting.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, those are generally the first.
So if we could get that information, that'd be great, if we can, I guess, other ways to skin a cat, as they say. Another thing I'd like to see, when we're talking about roads, Ms. Karen, I would like to see that sagebrush road replaced, because, 90% of the people who come to Questa go through that road to go see a baseball game, a football game, a basketball game, a soccer game. That represents the village a lot. And then the traffic there in the mornings for taking kids and kids going to school. I think that road is one of the most important roads, other than the ones that have the most residents living on them. But that road is probably the most used road in all of Questa, I can guarantee it probably. And it's pretty sad when we got other communities coming in and talking to me and say, man, what are you guys doing with all your money? That road looks horrible. Well, and the speed bumps are really pretty ridiculous too. They're huge and hard to go over. I just would like to see that, if we can, to get that road done. That's, what is it, maybe 3/4 of a mile or half a mile, somewhere around there, maybe a little over 3/4. That would be nice to get that fixed, and that would really be good for the community when, other towns come to visit.
Right. To Councilor Ortega's point, Ms. Shannon, it's something that Mr. Maldonado can apply for, is the local government road fund, the school districts are eligible for that. So the same type of grants the village gets, the school district gets those grants too, but they use those to paving their parking lots. But you can use that to pave a public road going into a school.
You can?
So, yeah,
Because I was on the board, they said we can't. The
No,
attorney said you guys can't use that money.
I've seen it.
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting, they do get those, they're not much, like $300,000.
So if you look on
They will
the,
help us too, right? We could go on.
because then you stretch the money. If you look on the LGRF handbook, it's, the hill, it's in the LGRF handbook.
And interestingly, before former Councilman Lawrence Ortega passed away, I think I'd asked conversations, he called me to, I don't know if he's doing engineering work for the school, but he called me to see if the village and the school could partner, try and get money to fix that road.
That's good.
Yeah, that was, a year and a half or year and 3 months ago at least.
So my final thing I got is this ridiculous bill we pay here per month at the village of Questa for solid waste. I don't think anybody really understood how we pay those dumpsters, but they're basically leased to us by the month. And then Waste Management picks those up, takes them to the dump, and we pay the dump on top of that. So we're paying Waste Management between $25,000 and $27,000 a year, a month, to pick up our trash. And then we pay the dump about $5,000 a month. So we're paying $32,000 a month in solid waste. We have 222 dumpsters in the village of Questa. That's quite a lot. Kiowa Road alone has 13. I did go through the list of the dumpsters. A 2-yard dumpster, which are the real small ones, are $48.65. A 3-yard dumpster is $68.39. A 4-yard dumpster is $91.19 per month. A 6-yard dumpster is $136.77, and an 8-yard dumpster is $182.35. So what I would like for us to see before we even think about raising trash is that we actually get together and try to figure out, because I did go through the list of dumpsters. The dumpster we use, there's 8 families on one dumpster. And it's a little 4-yard dumpster, but they're right here on paper, they're charging us for a 6. And so I started going around town as I passed through, they're charging for an 8-yard dumpster and it's a 6. That's $180 some. So we, as the village, need to go audit these dumpsters and make sure we're actually paying for what they're saying we have. They say the school has 3. I've only seen 1 at the high school, at the cafeteria, but we're paying for 3. And they're all 8-yard dumpsters. The Dollar General has some big ones, but we pay for that twice a month. So what I asked Miss Karen for, but Amy isn't until tomorrow, is the list of who, I don't care who it is, I don't want to see names or nothing, I just want to know how much does each family pay for a dumpster so we can figure out what we're doing here with this paperwork. I think the village can go down to 150 dumpsters and still be plenty. But the more dumpsters we have, the more surrounding communities think, that dumpster's empty, let's fill that one up. You know, and like we talked about Dr. Jamison, he's not here, he's at a, he's paying it, but he's not here. But if you needed to throw trash, you can go to the one at the Care Center, that should be removed. You know, and we shouldn't be paying for that. And that thing is filled every morning from wherever it's from, and trash is all over the floor, and it's going into the sequia there. It's gonna be a problem when we go clean the sequias here in a month or so. So we need to actually audit the dumpsters, and if, if nobody volunteers to do it, I guess I can.
I think, Mr. Ortega, is that the waste management contract is coming up here soon, am I correct? I mean, it's a 2-year contract?
They come every year.
In June. So,
Okay.
So, and then, I met with Anthony Martinez a little bit, so I want to talk about wastewater and how we use that, and we haven't used it in a long time, he said, so. I talked to him about how Red River does it, why couldn't we get a truck, hire an employee, and buy our dumpsters, and then take them for 5,000 and maybe a lot less per month? And, because right now I think waste management no one's ever actually challenged them with anything, so throw a dumpster here, throw one there. I've seen them in driveways next to each other, like, wow, somebody can't go throw the trash from that house to this house, or so forth. And I think we all need to work together to get this price down, because it is ridiculous. That is a lot of money on just, solid waste. It's a lot of abuse. If we bought our own dumpsters, the village, and then bought a truck and hired somebody, we'd have another employee that, lives in the village of Questa and actually brings in income to here instead of to Taos. I think that's a great idea. I think we need to start working on stuff like this, because, just 20 samples I took, 90% of them are wrong on the dumpsters.
Dang.
So, and I think that's probably what falls on us, because, we just let them, here's a check, but I think we need to be a little bit more diligent and actually go out and make sure. We need 222 dumpsters, which I know we don't. 13 dumpsters on Kai Road, there's probably 25 houses on Kai Road. Like I said, we have 8 families on my dumpster, and it fills up to the top every week, don't get me wrong. But it's never over full of trash on the floor. So I can see that, there's a lot of single elderly people that throw one bag of trash a week, and yet they're paying this high cost, and if we continue giving them more, we're gonna raise that up again instead of figuring out, stop the bleeding right now and figure out what we can do. I think that's great. And Karen, I'm thinking, you get me all this information. Without you, I wouldn't have this stuff, and I wouldn't go to have sleepless nights, going through all this. And when I can't sleep, this is what I do. I go through this stuff.
Mayor and council, we can contact our rep over at Waste Management and do that audit on all those dumpsters and make sure that we get charged properly.
I think, I don't think we contact them, I think we need to do something. I think internally we need to do that first before we, because if we call the rep, they're gonna say, oh yeah, you need them. Because if we.
No, I'm talking about what they're charging us for the dumpster. If it's a 4-yard dumpster, they're charging us for a six, we need to get that fixed. And that will bring the cost down every week.
But I think we need to do the audit on all of them.
We will have to do the audit on all of them, and then we'll have to look on ourselves and see where we have too many dumpsters and ask them to be removed. But this is an easy way to cut costs if they're overcharging us on those dumpsters, is saying you guys are overcharging us, and how long have you been overcharging us, let's go back and get some of that back.
And I've only seen 2 of the 8-yard dumpsters, and one of them's by the Whipping Post, by the bridge project, and Hunts Road. I think there's like 6 in here. And those are those big, huge ones. And honestly, those are probably the worst dumpsters we have, because the doors are heavy, the people can't throw their trash in, and it's only to a certain point. That's like a waste. If we really have to, we can get 2 smaller ones and get rid of those big ones. $886 is a lot a month. The two that go up to Cabresto for the campers, I don't think that's our responsibility, the village is to pay for campers to throw the trash. You know, and we talked about, well, how do we stop it? Well, we have law enforcement now. If we pass an ordinance that's strong, they get, you know, they can stop anybody and say, hey, where are you throwing your trash from? Where do you live? You know, and they know, I live in Amalia. Well, then this is your warning, next time we catch you. And a $500 fine, never said there's a $500 fine on some of those ordinances right now. So, you know, we gotta start doing something to stop, we gotta stop this. Another thing, Ms. Karen told me, and kind of alarming to me, is if I have a bunch of commercial trash and I go to the dump in Taos and I show them my water bill, they say, yeah, go ahead and throw it. But then they send that amount to the village and we pay that instead of the customer paying it. Am I right, Karen? That is crazy. So if I had a construction business, I could go borrow, hey, Brent, then your trash bill, and go there. They're not asking me for an ID. There you go. I'm Brent Jaramillo, throwing some trash for it.
I get what you're saying, but I think part of that logic, and I'm not talking for the town, is that the same waste would go in the dumpster here, so it's still the tonnage, because no matter what the village is paying for the tonnage, they're just paying for it in the roll-off back here or in the big dumpster.
But at least we're recouping it, because I had to come throw it in here, so I got paid $40. If I have a mattress, it's 20. This other way, they're not being penalized at all, and that bill comes right back to the village. And Karen's not gonna know who went through trash at the dump and tell us.
Yeah,
So,
and then, what was the last time you remember when, going back to Councilor Ortega saying, because I know Renee did it in the past, but did Nadine do that where we reduced the number of dumpsters? Because we've done it before, and I remember going out, figuring it out first, and then I think, I don't know if it was, Mr. Hernandez, the waste manager came and rode with her, or Nadine, and they went to, so yeah, that one's not necessary. It's been like 8 years here. Yeah.
and here's the list of where the dumpsters sit. You know, at what one of them, there's 222 of them. It gives the size of them, you know, what size they are, when they pick them up. So like Dollar General, or Dollar General, they pick it up twice a week. So I wanna make sure that they're paying their fair share of getting picked up trash twice a week, and I think, Miss Amy's gonna give me that by tomorrow. Then when I don't sleep tomorrow night, I'll be working on that.
Right there, there's 2 dumpsters in the area, and none of them are either never full. So yeah, we could probably go down to 1 dumpster in my area, people are gonna be mad.
You know, a business, I can see having a dumpster at their business, because they got all this commercial, you know, like trash and the food, and I wouldn't wanna drag that across the highway, but me, my dumpster's half a mile from my house. And I don't have a problem throwing my trash in the dumpster, it's not that far, it's not every day, it's every other day, you know, I'm sure. If everybody figured that we're lowering the cost and not charging them more, I think everybody would be for it. Honestly, because I've talked to a few customers. They're like, oh yeah, I take my trash right across the road, there's a dumpster here, there's one by Dylan. I'm like, wow, it's so far to go throw your trash, you know?
Dylan lives in the retail section.
Dylan, are you bringing your trash to Questa? Oh.
Well, yeah, don't worry, he's filming, don't put him on spot.
You said he did that.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you go.
Councilor Ortega, are you done?
Yeah, thank you.
I remember the one thing that I did want to bring up, can we revisit the ordinance on the, ATVs? You know, like the ones that are, you have your 4-wheelers that are not enclosed, and you have your other ones that are enclosed, which is more like a car. And you should be able to take that one to the grocery store or the post office or something without getting fined. So can we at the next meeting maybe revisit that ordinance or at some time?
I think so, yeah, I think, what we could do there, Councilwoman, is, we can request from the state that we'd have to request the state to make it eligible, like we did, but we can do that. We work with Chief Solero, because, Chief Montes was always against it, but at one point, the game fish officer, who's now county deputy had asked for us to actually try and look into making all of 38 from here to Red River accessible by side because he was given so many tickets.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a little bit too far, but I think we should.
Yeah, I think that's too far, but if I wanna go from my house up to, the coffee shop and drink coffee, I should be able to go on one of those that are enclosed, not the other four-wheelers. I see the difference between the two. One's a recreational, they're both recreational, but you know what I'm trying to say.
We should revisit that. I'll talk to Chief,
Okay,
see what we can do.
I appreciate that.
Just do it. Just take your for a walk. We'll be coffee.
Because we would love to have something.
I was gonna say something on, takes back off
Yeah.
Mr. Ortega's, but, I'm thinking that the reason why maybe one dumpster's different than what it says on the papers, because the driver probably noticed that maybe a lid was probably busted, and then the first dumpster he brought was probably whatever one he could find, so maybe that's the reason why that.
Another thing to touch on the dumpsters, to actually put a lock on it is $168. Is what Waste Management charges us, $168.
I guess, Ms. Shannon, maybe you were right, just based off of what Councilman Jaramillo says, maybe you can ask the Waste Management locally, Mr. Hernandez is the manager, to see if they'll come and do a ride along with somebody here. I don't know whether it has to be you, or maybe Mr. Laforet, or maybe Ms. Lopez, just to see what, and explaining what the difference in sizes of dumpsters are, and why there's so many there.
If you don't get volunteers, I'm willing to volunteer.
Must be nice to have time on your hands.
No, I make time.
I like your attitude,
I
though.
make time.
Volunteer,
I make time.
you're willing to volunteer, I like that.
Well, I can say even my old dumpster, that should probably be pulled out too, because that neighborhood, there's two dumpsters and it's only the one. So then like Nadine and her mom and the Sala all be in one.
There should be like 6 people on there, it's not that much trash. You know, even we went to a bigger site and we moved the smaller one, it still saved us money.
So I lived down there and we couldn't go for that one, and the Sala. Then I would have to go to.
I think we have a direction for the solid waste, and councilors, if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna adjourn at 8:08.